Welcome back to the channel and welcome Roman. What's up, my man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Garrett. How are you?
Yeah, dude, I'm doing freaking good. I'm doing really good. And you're doing well as well, obviously. So, kind of like how I do these interviews for anyone who's really not watched these before, is kind of just like timeline, man. Like, first of all, like, how do we know each other? Because we've known each other for like a couple years at this point.
Yeah, it's actually funny. We met through trading Discord
Yeah.
with Luca Nets, I believe. And we just like started talking, we had the same like trading style, things like that. So we started talking, and then we did some like small Discord stuff on the side. But then you kind of stepped away from trading and decided to pursue the sales, because that's you were doing both at the time.
Yeah.
And I still stuck with trading at the time. And then I saw you, grow, the closing Bible, and started helping people out. And I was like, well, shit, I used to do sales, door to door, in-person sales. And, there's this whole new like world of like remote sales that I didn't know about. And, it's crazy because you like the potential there is like crazy, like the sky's the limit. So I like, hit you up, um, you know, you got me to the closing Bible still when you first started, I believe closing Bible 1.
Yeah.
And we went through that. I went through all those trainings, your first initial videos, the OG days. um I got there, and then I got a setting offer, just to get experience, because I never had experience in the remote world. So I
Mhm.
did that. I grinded there, in the couple setter jobs here and there, and then I finally got into a closer role on an offer that you actually used to sell for, the MK offer.
Yep.
And now we're here. So
Yeah, yeah, dude. Hey, you said you did some door-to-door stuff. So when you initially went through the sales training, like, was there anything that kind of like stood out to you, or was like, damn, I didn't know this at all?
um, well, like the sales aspect, kind of like, it's the same, whether it's in person, and the goal is the same, right? It's not like you're selling anything, it's problem solving,
Yeah,
really. You're helping someone solve a problem, but the way you approached it, right? Not taking no for an actual no. No is just like, just like the door to actually, turning that into a yes. So you like prefer a no right away. And like the different like psychology that you approach, and all of the books that you recommend. I'm currently rereading with the FBI agent. I forgot what it's called.
oh, Never Split the Difference by Chris
Yes,
Voss.
that one. Yes, that I'm rereading it that right now. It's really good. That like skyrocketed my sales journey, I guess. It helped me a lot. So definitely recommend anyone, watching this read that. Just like the mindset and like the way you approach it, it really like changed the way I sell.
Okay, interesting, dude. And then you got started with the appointment setting gig,
Hmm.
um, and you were doing a good amount of reps. So I think you learned just so much within that role. And I think it's interesting how like a person's first like sales gig is usually not the best, just knock it out of the park. It's
Right.
more like a learning experience that you leverage to get like a better, opportunity. So I guess like like what did you learn when you were at that role? And then B, like, how did you leverage that to get, the better opportunity?
Appointment setting is actually like actually where you actually learn how to sell, I feel like, because that's where you actually get in the reps. That's where like it's actually like the hardest to actually get a lead. Because these are like cold calling, or like, you're just dialing all day. So you're just putting in the reps. You do that for a while, you get pretty good at it. You call, 70 to 100 people a day for, 2 straight months. That's a lot of dials, that's a lot of no's. And, it really toughens you up, because after every no, there is going to be a yes at the end of the day. Some days, it will be bad. And some days, you'll be on fire, you get a couple, you'll get a lot of sets. But
Mm-hmm.
it just like trains you, um to not like beat yourself up, cause when you hear a no. And it just like, it just taught me how to like navigate when you hear a no, and how to like control my mindset. So doing that, and then being a pretty good setter, because you improve honestly as you go. And
Yeah.
then just being able to leverage that with like, having already gone through your training, and just like knowing the sales cycle and things like that, I was able to leverage and then get onto a closing role. And then from there, it's a lot easier, because all the calls that you get, they actually want to talk to you. So you're
Yeah.
not, you're not the one like reaching out to them first. They want to talk to you. So there's a big difference. So it's a lot easier, I feel like. But in order to actually become good at that, you have to go through the trenches, right?
Yeah. And once you're closing, it's like you appreciate these like warm inbound leads so much. You're like, wait, they want to talk to me, like, and they
Right.
have money, like they're qualified, like everything's there. You're like, this is like a walk in the park. Sometimes you're just like taking people's orders, and it's like, kind of
Yeah.
explain the offer in better detail, right? Like you don't have to say the name of the company, obviously, but like how much was the offer? Like what was commissions? Like how many calls were you doing per day, like roughly on average?
Yeah. So the offer that I'm currently on is actually the offer that you used to sell. It was that trading education company. So the main offer is 7,000. And when I first got on, I was brought on as I had to prove myself, right? It was like a trial run. And I did 20 calls for the trial run. And I closed about 48 or 49% of them. So about like 10 of them out of the 20.
Yeah.
So, I proved myself that I'm able to do this. And then I got more and more calls. So I was getting about 4 to 5 calls scheduled, or I would say 3 to 5 actually. And just doing that, and my closing percentage stayed anywhere between like 45 to like 48 is where I, floated around in. So,
Mm.
not the worst, but definitely could be a lot higher, I feel like. But, still starting, I'm still, only a couple months in to sales. So in a month's time, I made about $12,000 in commissions. And
It's,
like I said, the phone calls were fairly easy, right? So 4 phone calls took me about 4 hours max, and that's if the people, needed a lot of like explaining and slowing down. But the people that were like straight to the point and actually were like quick, those
yeah.
took like 15, 20 minutes maybe. So I think my shortest one ever was like 6
It's
minutes,
not.
and I closed the guy. And then like my longest one ever was like an hour and a half maybe, and that's because the guy had to call his bank twice to get his card unlocked. And so I didn't want to let him off the phone because I wanted to close the deal, so I wanted to see the money in the bank. So
Oh yeah, and it's funny to me that you're like, 48% close rate could definitely be a whole lot better when the average close rate is like usually like 30%. So it's like you're crushing if you're above that, and the fact that you're like, I was doing about 50%, could have been better though.
no, I definitely could have though, because I like looking back, like there's like leads that I like think about now, like damn, I could have closed them, but like I just didn't say the right thing, or like I should have done this. So like self-reflection is a big part of it too, I feel like. So that's
Yeah,
really, really key to it as well.
and that's kind of the game, right? Like it's as you get longer and longer on an offer, your close rate should go up month over month over month over month, because it's like you are like, if I went back to the leads like when I first sold that and it was like my first month, I'm like, dude, I don't know how my closing rate wasn't like 80%. Because like
Right. That's what
once
I'm
you go
saying.
2 3 months, you're like, how did I not know to say this? So that's the cool thing about it. Because like if you did 12, like your first month, and lead flow stays perfectly the same, everything's perfectly the same, like it should jump to like 15 and then 16, because like I know there's some reps on there who are doing like 20 24 grand or so a month. So like
Yeah.
there's potential as you stay on the offer to kind of grow within that, and just keep going. What would you kind of say to someone that's like looking to get into sales, or maybe kind of floating around the online space and like not kind of sure what to dive into?
So sales is one of those things that, once you know it, you have it forever, and it's a skill that can like change your life. I'm a very big Shark Tank fan. I love that show, watch it religiously. And my favorite shark is Mark Cuban, and he preaches sales. So if one of like the top billionaires, preaches to like, if you're getting for, looking for a job, you're looking for something to do, a new skill to learn, it's sales. So I listen to what the rich people say, and I've tried it, and I obviously see the results, so I know it's working. And you put me in a position to win, so I'll be like, grateful for you forever. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you're looking at sales, it's great. Because you can sell anything, right? It can be yourself, it can be a service, it can be a product for someone else. You can sell anything, and just knowing how to sell, you'll never be broke. That's pretty much it. If you know how to sell something, you'll never be broke.
Yeah, it's very relieving. It's like you can take a breath of fresh air. So it's like, dude, you could literally, like, my bank account could go back to zero. You could take everything from me, like all my belongings that have any value, and put me in some random like English speaking country with no connections, and like give me 6 months and like I'll be making pretty good money.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's it.
It's
You just
like
got to know how to sell.
Yeah, and once that's there, it's like there's just I don't know. You will make money in some way, shape, or form, like because you got that piece of the puzzle, which is like obviously a big one. And it's cool to see like Mark Cuban, like Gary Vee, like even like Robert Kiyosaki, like all these guys are like learn sales first. Like that's the foundation. Like even when I was like 18, 19, like when I was like kind of trying to figure out my stuff, figure out what I was going to do. Like I went to mentors, or just any guys I knew that were making money. And I'm like, what do I do? And they're like, get a sales job. And I'm like, I don't want to get into sales. Like, I don't want to knock doors. Like that sounds awful. But it's literally like, I ignored their advice for a bit before I realized like it's exactly what I needed to do. So
Yeah.
it's cool how that all, kind of came like full circle. Yeah, dude. I'm excited for you to just, keep growing, within that offer, hop on even bigger and better offers and just continue to grow within, your role here in sales. And stoked that we've known each other for a couple of years and, you became a client and seeing you crush it is just really cool to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Because
Awesome.
it first started off as like, it wasn't even anything like business related. It was more like friends and we were just making money, like trading together. And then
Yeah.
it just evolved into so much bigger things. So it's crazy just to think about.
Yeah. And it's dope because like both the offers that you sold were like trading related. So like you're
Hmm.
passionate. That's what you said when you said like you can sell anything because it's like you're passionate about trading. And I'm like, if you know everything about this, like don't go sell solar. Like just sell something within this world.
Oh
That's like,
yeah, that definitely helped because it wasn't even a sales calls at that point because they just hopped on the phone and I just like answered a couple questions that like, and I just kept asking them questions and they just kept answering them and I was like, and then they like any trading question that they asked me, it never threw me off guard because I already knew it.
yeah.
I was like a dictionary for like words, for like trading. So like anything they asked me was like, so I literally had no objections ever. Or the only one was like, oh, I don't have any money. And I was like, okay, well, that's like, you obviously teach how to overcome that. So there's so many different ways to overcome that. But overall, it wasn't like, it didn't feel like a job, honestly, and it was kind of fun too, because, it gives you something to do. You were always constantly like texting people and like calling them and you're talking to them. So you're always interacting, always keeping busy. Your mind's always busy. So, once you get into the group of things, it's really, really cool.
Yeah, I remember you text me one day and you're like, dude, I made $1,000. Like I'm sitting here in my fucking underwear. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm working at all.
Yeah, I know. That was like the last warm day here in the state in Wisconsin, but I was just like chilling. I was like, oh shit, I have a sales call this morning, and I just like hop on the phone, and I close them, and then there's another one that I got assigned, so I closed that guy too, and I was like, damn, that was two $7,000 pays in full right there, and I'm like, I got out of bed like an hour ago. I remember that.
$1,400 commission. You're just like
Yeah,
business up here, party down here.
yeah, yeah, sir. Business casual.
Well, that's awesome, dude. Thanks again for hopping on. For real, this was fun and it was nice, just catching up in general. And we'll have to do this, in the future again, as you evolve and just keep hitting, bigger and bigger numbers.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
All
Thanks for
right.
having me.